Shows
Not sure it's
shows
okay.
crime figure.
Okay,
And the Mustering.
thank you everyone and good evening.
Good evening.
Our meeting, regulation and licensing. Start with item 1 on the agenda, apologies for action. Action, yes,
So we've got one from Councillor Evans.
Councillor Evans. Now, any declarations of interest? Minutes of the previous meeting, you've all read them?
Let's move them, Chair.
Can I raise a question regarding them, or would you prefer it to be left to the end?
Don't raise a question now.
About the fishing rights, can we have a progress report on the fishing at Stoke Hall?
Believe it's being signed off today. So we're just waiting to put up signage.
And the hours have been agreed, the summer, winter.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, but we're all happy with the minutes? You. Item 4, update on enforcement activities since the last committee meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware this used to be taxi enforcement. A bit narrow in mind what we do, so I suggested to the Chair and Vice Chair that we expand it over a bit more of the overall enforcement that we carry out. And I suppose top of that, since the last meeting, is that we've been working with trading standards with the support of the police, and we've shut down 4 shops that have been selling illegal cigarettes and vapes. You may well have read about it in the press. It's quite an interesting way in which we go about it. The first in Staffordshire to do so. We have the powers to close the premises, but obviously it's trading standards that enforce the law around illegal cigarettes and vapes. So we work with them. We close and we do the closure orders. The closure notices. But then the legislation requires us to get it into court within 48 hours to get a closure order. So that can be a bit difficult, but we've managed thus far to get it in. And that allows us to close these premises for up to 3 months, which we've succeeded in getting each time. A lot of the feedback seems to be that 3 months isn't enough. That's all that the law allows for. But we've worked with landlords after they've been closed to look at getting the tenants moved on. Then it's over to trading standards to take whatever follow-up enforcement they want to in relation to the offences taking place. So that's been quite a success. In relation to taxis, members will no doubt be aware that there have been some protests recently around ranks, the locations of, and we're working to resolve those issues. Myself and Tracy in licensing are meeting with the union again on Friday next week. Obviously, no easy solutions. We're a historic city, so it isn't easy to find a suitable rank location that's close enough to the city centre. We did used to have, it wasn't even a formal rank, but there was a rank on Boar Street, but of course pedestrianisation means that that's no longer possible. So there's some compromises there, but it'll be interesting to see following next week's meeting if we can just make some progress on that. Quite a bit of work's ongoing in relation to animal welfare cases, where we've taken dogs from premises where they're kept in very poor conditions, executing warrants, also with police assistance as well in doing that. So that's ongoing. We've also executed a warrant in relation to a noise nuisance case, which doesn't happen that often, but essentially when somebody's creating a noise nuisance, we serve a notice on them. If they don't comply with that, if it's noise from a stereo, we can seize their stereo kit. And that's exactly what we've done in that case, which appears to have resolved the issue. I think they've learned a lesson. We've got quite a few court cases which are currently awaiting trial dates, several others that have been close to being wrapped up, mostly around waste offences. Members will remember the Watery Lane case that isn't due to go to court until 2027. Just because the courts are in a bit of a mess. Yeah, so primarily they're waste offences, but there is actually a planning enforcement case and also animal welfare case trial pending. And finally, we've had a bit of a result in relation to a gentleman who stole one of our covert fly tipping enforcement cameras. Unfortunately for him, there was a second camera, first camera. He nabbed the camera, threw away the zip tie that was holding it on, so we served a fixed penalty for littering for that. We also traced him to a property, gave the information to the police, and they've given him a community resolution notice. So he's reimbursed us the cost of the camera and the batteries and the SIM card and that sort of thing. So it's been quite costly for him. I think he's probably in for over £500 in total for a camera that was probably worth about 150. Not the best idea.
Could I, may I ask on the cameras? I think there was a time when we were asking about having covert cameras at frequent sites, and I think, if I'm right in remembering, you used to have to get a magistrate's order to install them. Is that still the case, or can you?
You're talking about RIPA, or Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act. If it's covert, truly covert, then yes. But the way around that is you put signage up saying CCTV is in operation in this area. Now, of course, a lot of people ignore that and assume that there isn't. But we do have a fair few cameras. Technology's come on really well as well. I mean, years ago, I remember burying sort of car batteries in cases in the ground and bullet cameras that you know, from me to you wouldn't be able to read the number plate. It was that horrendous. But now they're pretty good and relatively cheap as well. So we have had quite a bit of success. Often we'll put them out for fly tipping and actually we'll catch somebody littering instead. Beneficial.
Just further question quickly. You mentioned recording. Do you have them a live stream as well on any of them?
It's battery life. That's the issue. So yeah, we have looked at that, but
Was it triggered? If they're only active when triggered, then
yeah, well, we tend to go out and change the batteries and bring them in and with the disc to sort of check it. But yes, we set them up so that they only trigger when someone might pull in to say it's a lay-by or whatever. We don't want to get collateral footage of cars just driving past or whatever. It run the batteries down very quickly. And really, we use them only in hotspot locations. Unfortunately, we're quite a rural district and hotspots vary. And yeah, some places tend to get hit quite regularly in quick succession and then don't get touched for 18 months or more. So if we're quick to deploy, we can sometimes catch people.
thank you.
Anything more to add?
No, that's it. That's
Any questions? Yes, Councillor.
Hi, in the appendices, can I ask about that? So in the Excel, can I ask about the date, the street trading consent day 1? There's a food, non-food, food and non-food.
we've moved on to a report that I haven't.
Oh no, haven't. So ask about that.
Just thus far, I've just talked about
That one.
really kind of our
Okay,
enforcement.
that's fine.
The last time, I think we're coming on to that report.
You can ask about that afterwards. That's
Do
fine.
you have any questions? Very much.
Sounds very proactive.
Yeah, yes. Yes, thank you for that. So, well, we move on to item 5, the environmental and community protection fees and charges.
It's all me.
All right.
Yeah, the fees and charges report, as members will be aware, our service, which incidentally we've changed our name from regulation and enforcement to a name which I think probably reflects the work we do a bit more accurately. So we're now called Environment and Community Services. Sorry, Environment and Community Protection. And so we do issue a wide range of fees, charges, penalties. They were last reviewed in 2024-25, kept the same for the financial year that we're just ending now, 25-26. And we reviewed them again for next year, 26-27. There has been some small adjustments and some additions. Some of the fees are set in legislation. There's nothing we can do to change those. Others we can adjust within a range that is set in legislation, and then others it's more a case of just recovering our costs. So the appendix, which was done in Excel, it became quite difficult to print out. Otherwise, the font would be incredibly small. But suffice to say, there's just some minor amendments, both up and down, reflecting things like changes for badges, on the licensing side. There was an increase in charges around planning enforcement, in part because we were charging on an hourly basis of officer time, and therefore people didn't really have an idea up front what the cost would be. So we've given an upfront cost based on an average. Other than those changes, the majority were kept the same. We have benchmarked with other local authorities as well. That was first done in 2023 to ensure we're consistent. The taxi vehicle and operator fees must undergo a 28-day public consultation. So the recommendations of the report are to approve the revised fees, charges and penalties, which are the appendices 1 and 3, which if you've got the spreadsheet open, that's the 2 tabs.
Yeah.
And to take effect from the 1st of April. To note the statutory fees in Appendix 2, which we cannot change, and to delegate authority to the Chair and Director of Finance to confirm the taxi-related fees after statutory consultation.
Before we do that, just check, do we have any questions?
Sense?
It was so Appendix 1. Can I ask about that? Appendix 1.
Yeah.
Could you just clarify for the temporary street trading consent, the food, non-food and food, non-food, that's quite similar in the naming. The difference is on the bottom of Appendix 1, street trading consent.
Yeah.
It's the same but different.
Essentially, it's sorry, do you want to? Basically, it's a discount for non-food, but then
Food
Day
is
one.
60 and non-food is 30.
The 10.
Any subsequent
That's
days are £10.
£10. Yeah, it's not clear from that because it says day 1 and then it says day 1. I agree, but we can look at amending that to make it clearer. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
meant
day
to be additional days.
Yeah, that's the bottom of
Okay,
the
2 more questions. Other question is in regards to planning enforcement. So I'm assuming if this is for like a one dwelling, because if we're looking at the big companies who do loads of development, if they had any planning issues, would their fee, is it different, like for the more houses or the small, or just in general? It's the same?
This is not related to planning. This is just planning enforcement.
Sorry, planning.
Yeah. So
Is it the same for
yeah,
what?
so it's in terms of some of the enforcement work we do, we go out and take action and we might end up serving a notice. Well, the taxpayer doesn't fund that. The person who's getting the notice has to fund it. So essentially we're charging, and previously we've charged them our time in producing that notice and doing the investigation. And the suggestion here is upfront giving a fee that we can charge that is kind of average. To be a bit more clear. So this is not to do with if you're putting in a planning application. This is purely if we're taking enforcement action against somebody for something that we serve a notice on, they then pay the cost of that.
I'm just thinking if it's, sorry, I rephrase. So if it's let's say a person with either 1 dwelling, 2 dwellings, it doesn't matter about the planning enforcement. If they need this notice to apply to them, would it be per property or would it be?
I mean, if they get 1 notice, it's the same amount of work to produce 1 notice, depending on dealing with a big issue or a smaller issue. It'll be the contents of the notice that they have to comply with that might make their life more difficult.
And then one more question. I'm not sure if it relates to this, but we're going to aesthetics wise, is that coming in later years?
Sorry, say that again.
In terms of aesthetics, it was mentioned like a year ago, because it's not licensed, but can the council license those, like for example, like Botox fillers, or is that more to do with the central government side? Aesthetics,
Yeah, to be honest.
that's not in there, but aesthetics license,
I think that might be this special treatment.
special treatment, so they would be they need a license too.
Yeah. So you've got personal premises and then variation costs. Yeah, tattooists and that sort of.
Specialty. Thank you.
Yes.
Again, it's in relation to food traders.
Yeah.
There's a license fee for first day of a temporary food trader, but also a license fee for food hygiene. Do day traders need a food hygiene certificate as well? So they would need both licenses.
Yeah, they do. Where are you looking at the food hygiene? Because if you want to register a food business, there's no charge for that normally.
I'll
So
find it in just a minute, sorry.
yes, essentially anybody selling food registers a food business.
Yeah.
So that they can be inspected. Yeah.
So you can't bypass your food hygiene yet by getting a 1-day food trade.
No.
Yeah.
And even more than that, when we have food festivals in the city, for example, we insist on a certain standard. So we wouldn't want stalls coming in at like 1 or 2 stars, make it a higher standard. But they might have that food rating from another authority because they might be based somewhere else. They're coming here to be on the food festival.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have any other questions on that? I'm happy to approve. Amendment.
Yeah.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Chair, my apologies for being late.
That's fine. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oblivious of the time.
Item 6, licensing act.
Yeah, Chair.
Come on then, Chair.
Oh yes. Don't fear. You might think you've got there's an air of deja vu about this meeting and this report. It has been brought before this committee before. Following the last time it was brought to this committee, a consultation exercise took place, and as part of that, a point was raised in relation to the evidence base for the cumulative impact assessment, or CIA area, that being somewhat weak. Essentially, just to remind members, the cumulative impact assessment is where we look at an area where if a new premises opens or applies to open, it kind of puts the onus on them to show how they're not going to impact on sort of violent crime and anything associated with licensed premises, Friday, Saturday night scuffles, that sort of thing. And so it sort of gives them the requirement to provide some information up front when they're making the application. So it doesn't prevent new premises opening. The police had requested that the CIA area be expanded to cover the wider city centre, because it's currently only Bird Street and Market Street and has been in that state for, I believe, over 20 years now. But following the feedback after the consultation, it was considered that there wasn't really robust evidence to extend the CIA area. So we went back to the police for further evidence to support the proposal. That highlighted that what they'd done previously was provided information on just antisocial behaviour on Fridays and Saturday nights in the city centre, which was relatively small. There is more offences taking place around violent crime that was missing. So we got that information, but in the end, even that data only showed, on average, over I think it was the last 3 years, just under 10 public order or violence type offences per month on a Friday and Saturday night. Crucially, there's no evidence to suggest whether this is good or bad, or how we compare to other similar sized towns. And I think we also need to understand that, Lichfield attained purple flag status in 2024. And one of the criteria for purple flag is having a safe evening and nighttime economy. So this sort of seemed to find the face of the suggestion that there may be a cumulative impact of premises leading to additional disorder within Lichfield. And a further point that has become clear since the consultation is the fact that in over 20 years since the cumulative impact assessment area covering Market Street and Bird Street has been in place, it hasn't resulted in any licence refusals during that time. So it then sort of begs the question of whether any CIA area is relevant to Lichfield at all. So following this, the recommendations before the committee tonight are to approve the adoption of the revised statement of licensing policy, which you've done previously, and that hasn't changed. But then, in a change from last time, to approve the revocation of the existing CIA covering Market Street and Bird Street, and that the committee recommends to council that it adopts the revised policy and revokes the cumulative impact assessment area. Chair.
Thank you. Before we go there, are there any questions?
Just in relation to the on average 10 offences a month, 10 incidents a month.
Yeah.
Those are obviously recorded offences that have come through police logs or crime reports. Are they just crime and incident reports, or are they incident log reports?
I asked for the data, and this is what I was told.
That's where you get, it's all right. Two to three every weekend. To me, is quite a lot in 2 roads.
No. This is for the whole of the city centre.
Oh, sorry, I read
Yeah,
it just
sorry, the
in the
data-
cumulative impact area.
Yeah, no, the data they provided was justification for expanding the cumulative impact area. That was the idea. I mean,
we don't know the locations of where those offences took place. We don't know if it's currently in the right place or.
yeah, it was broadly around from Minster Pool at one end, coming round, covering the new cinema development down here, and where the Botanist, I believe, will be, and then up Bird Street. So it was the core centre, covering Tamworth Street, which isn't currently covered, and obviously now has quite a few bars and pubs.
I went to a pub watch meeting. I'll be honest, it was 10 or 12 months ago. And over 90% of all incidents happened outside what was called Walkabout. And I've just checked, it's now called Bar Home, which is Bird Street, obviously. We used to have a lot of issues in Scales, Speckled Hen, Dirty Cows it now is, but I don't know if that continued. Those are our 2 nightclubs. Nightclub spot, late night closing spots. Yeah. Leasing point of view, can't see why we want to get rid of those 2 roads. I don't see any benefit to expanding the others, I agree. But
Don't forget, though, this is about new premises opening.
it is.
So it's about putting the onus on them in
Is it?
relation to providing the information on what they're going to do to control these sorts of criminality. But similarly, without them as a cumulative impact assessment area, we could still object. The police can still object, and it could still be refused. It doesn't make a huge difference in that respect. It's just an additional tool, I suppose you could argue.
Yeah, it gives them something extra to think about if they're looking to open up and stay open at the same time as the venues that are around them.
Yeah.
But I was a licensing sergeant at one point, so sorry. But we use the cumulative impact assessment within Walsall Town Centre to stop clubs from adjusting their opening hours and things like that, so that they weren't all turning out at the same time, which was, if it hadn't been there, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So it meant that one group from the H's didn't bump me to the group from Bar 1 and everybody tried to fall for the same taxi. So I see the benefits of them. I understand we are, I accept we're purple accredited as well. I'm sure there's a lovely town centre to go out in. But 2 to 3 incidents, if that's throughout the town, but issues remain around those nightclub spots, I think. But I'll be guided by others.
We're saying 2 to 3 incidents a night.
No, per week.
Sorry, 10 a
Per
month.
weekend. Per week.
Or we can, okay, okay.
Very low. Very low, that is.
Jamie just mentioned the ability to look at a change of a license. You referred to this coming into effect for a new premises, a new business. Is it the case that it is also effective on someone who wishes to change their license and opening hours? Is that
If they're adjusting it, yes, yeah.
us?
As in, they want to extend their hours to be later.
So it could be a useful tool, as Jamie said, to continue with that if that is where our hotspots are. But there was no indication of the police of perhaps another hotspot, because the options appear to be either stick with what we've got or lose it, or take it as a whole. is there another option whereby we just expand what we've got to cover a hotspot that the police have identified?
That hasn't been put forward. We don't have the statistics to back that up. So at the moment, it's they just wanted to expand to cover the whole of the town centre, if you like, and also cover the new development. I suppose it is important to point out that there's nothing stopping us reviewing this. You're supposed to review the cumulative impact assessment every 3 years, as opposed to every 5 years for the full policy. So, you know, we could come back with more data from the police, hopefully, to be able to back it up, should that's.
Thinking what the negatives there might be if we haven't got it, or what costs.
You can still object.
We have.
I mean, you can still have responsible authorities can still object, and the police can do that. So it doesn't prevent that.
Councillor Hill, then
I'm just curious to know what the triggers are and what's the level of violence or whatever that's taken place.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what is considered a high level of violence in a town of this size. That is the information that I think possibly would be a bit more.
You know, there's a difference between a scuffle and whatever else, and people just bit of bravado and so on and so forth to people being injured. And I just wondered whether that information was available.
We haven't been provided that level of detail, and I'm not sure others may know.
Anecdotally, some fairly nasty sorts do happen, but that's how you hear about them through the course of the years, and how old those now are is difficult to tell. I think the beauty of Lichfield is it has such a high standard. It's a lovely place to go out. Everybody's coming here to go out because there's more going on here than elsewhere, and to maintain that high standard, I think setting high criteria for people opening, or an additional bar for them to jump, pardon the pun, an additional bar for them to jump over, having the cumulative impact assessment benefits your decision, or at least gives you more information in the licensing department, the policing department, as to what measures they're going to put in place, and makes them think about what they're opening.
Certainly retaining the current cumulative impact assessment area has been put in the alternative options.
Am I right in saying though that the CIA has not actually been invoked over the 20 years it's been in force?
Correct.
So, yeah.
Times are changing.
Yes, true.
Lichfield's a much safer place now than it was 10 years ago. Safe.
As an officer, how useful is that? How useful is this tool in the range of tools that you've got within licensing to control and maintain the standards of licensing?
I think the best thing about it is it's a time issue. So obviously somebody applies for a license and the clock starts ticking. If they supply information that's not that brilliant, got to go to them and then get information back. The idea of the CIA, it puts the onus on them to provide that up front. So you save quite a bit of time at the start. It's not to say that you can't deal with all the same issues without the CIA in place. And it certainly isn't as it sometimes is read to be. It's certainly not a sort of a method of preventing any bars opening. Like I say, that the CIA as it stands at the moment has been in place over 20 years and it's never stopped a bar from opening. So, but it helps the process, I suppose. Yes.
yes,
Yeah, understood.
definitely.
Thank you.
Jack,
Thank you.
any other questions? Are we happy to approve those recommendations to go ahead with?
The recommendation to remove to.
Jack's answer for yes. Yeah.
Can I recommend that we retain the CIA for Market Street and Bird Street as a proposal, but move to accept the document?
Favour? Thank you. Thank you.
I'm voting for it.
Oh,
Does anybody vote against it?
Thank you, Jack. Well, progress. Happy New Year again.
Probably. The only thing at the moment we have on the work programme is the food safety business plan. As is often the case, maybe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Before I won't close the meeting, there's a thing that I've noticed, which might be, you may better answer the question. I noticed that the bowling greens put in a psychic night on.
So like, I mean,
I believe they require a license for that. Have they been in touch?
So they're putting a what?
Psychic.
psychic night.
I know that came in years ago to do with anything to do with hypnotism and psychic.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're the same thing. Out to your knowledge on this.
No, I think it's.
I seem to remember they've had one before, a few years ago.
Just wondered,
We'll
was that,
check.
I only know from the business I was in, and I remember it coming in and a lot of clubs stopped putting them on because they needed to get a license. Popular many years ago, and then that was it.
I think I'm afraid
A
that.
lot of things went.
There's not a pubs running psychic nights.
Is that it? I didn't know whether I checked on that. Okay,
You have to buy a ticket because they know you come.
yes. So Martha, if you'd like a question,
Yeah.
then?
Just going back to the list of fees for all the different licensing. Can we just note that to do with the temporary street trading, that the third option, which is the extended license for consecutive days, that we just add the word additional in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What, one other thing, Councillor Henshaw got in touch with me this week. You all remember the terrible accident that happened in Switzerland, New Year's Eve, with the club, with the fire and the loss of life. And he got in touch with me to see what the situation is with our fire officers and the clubs, etc. I did speak with Tracy, and she put me in touch with the fire officer who covers Staffordshire, Lidford, etc. And she was pleased to hear of me. And I had quite a few conversations with her. And she sent me an email giving you the up-to-date of how they are working and what their policies are, which I will be sending to every member here. So when I didn't want to send it, and then you go, well, what's this all about? But it's well worth reading, and you can see that they are on the ball. Our rules here obviously are much stricter than in Switzerland, but when you get it, you know what it's all about. Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
and I think that's it. So I can.
Chairman, could I just ask you to share that as well with the community?
Yes.
Just because the fire brigade are part of the partnership. I'd be very helpful if you were obtaining that information that is shared with the community safety partnership. Because we can share it on our work.
It makes very good reading.
I'm sure it
Makes you feel a lot safer. I mean, Richard had a copy of it, so yes. But I'll do that. So I'll bring this meeting to a close. Thanks you to everyone for